Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. You know, I mentioned last week on Rando Rob that I had set up my IBM PC, which is, oh boy, that light is bright. I left the LED on light back there. Sorry about that. But the PC is the one back here with the black monitor right there. But this giant blue monitor right here is sitting on top of an Apple IIe. And that Apple IIe, and that's not the object I'm going to show you this week, but I have about 4 Apple IIes. One... They all have little tiny issues with them, but I put enough together to get one working one, and I could probably get a second working one by combining stuff from the other 3. But Apple's not my forte. Commodore is always going to be my true love, but I did have an Apple computer for several years before, about 3 years before I had my Commodore. Our family had an Apple. And, of course, my dad had an Apple and a PC Junior, but eventually migrated, towards the IBM baseline, like a lot of people did, and moved away from Apple. But so I have some nostalgic memories about Apple, but to be honest with you, so many of the games that came out for the Apple also came out for the Commodore, so there's not that much of a reason to play them. The sound-wise for the Apple II, it uses an internal speaker, and it doesn't display as many colors, and the graphics aren't quite as good. So, if you're wanting to play, I just did the video for Little Computer People, and I fired up Little Computer People on the Apple, and it doesn't look as good as the Commodore version. So, I've got the space now in this room and the table, and I still got some more cleaning to do in here. But we'll see in 6 months how much it gets used. But I thought it'd be fun to set it up right now. And also, I had a coworker that was very near and dear to me. His name was Howard, and Howard passed away. And I guess it's been about 3 years ago now. It was very sudden and very unexpected. He had a blood clot that was in his leg and was out doing yard work, and it moved into his heart and stopped his heart immediately and killed him. It was very, very tragic. It was very upsetting to me, and there were a lot of us that were close to Howard. That was the first and maybe the only time that I think it is the only time was asked to speak at someone's funeral. And I got up and told some stories about Howard, and I was just really close to Howard, and he was, I don't want to say like a father figure because I have a father, and so that sounds almost disrespectful, but he was old enough. He was older than what I would consider to be a big brother. He was in his late 50s, and I was in my, mid 40s, so he was, almost 15 years older than me, so older than a big brother, but not quite a father, but, maybe like that cool uncle, I guess. But just that guy you could bounce things off of, and he did a lot for my kids, he did a lot for my family, and had a really close relationship with him. And anyway, he bought an Apple IIe from a garage sale and was going to fix it up and was going to have me help him and stuff, and it was in his garage when he passed away. And his, how I guess when people pass away, there's stuff laying around. God knows what'll happen, to this room or to all my stuff when I finally pass away. But anyway, his wife was, he had bought this Apple II at a garage sale, and it was sitting in the garage, and she didn't know what to do with it, and had mentioned that he said he was going to get help from me and all this, and she said, you know what, if you want it, you can have it. So anyway, I took it, and basically this Apple IIe is about half of that machine that Howard had. So yeah, it's kind of cool that it lives on a little bit, and I don't know that he was big into retro computers, but he knew I was, and so it was kind of a thing we were going to do together. So, but anyway, so that's the Apple II. Anyway, kind of rambling tonight. It's been a long day. And the thing, I was kind of looking around, like, as I continue to clean and organize this room, I just keep running across stuff. I mean, there's so many things I could show you. There's millions of things, but earlier when I came in here and sat down, I set my drink down on a coaster, and I thought, I know what I'm going to show you. And so, as you can see by the side graphic there that says DIY tile coasters, that is what I'm going to show you. Now, I have multiples of these laying around, and of course, as I'm looking around, I only see the one that I'm using at the moment, and so I will show it to you. I'll make sure that it's right side up. This is a Space Invaders coaster, as you can see, and then on the bottom there are these little felt little feet that are stuck on there, and if I tap that, I don't know if you can hear that, but it is a ceramic tile. And so the story behind this is that there used to be a local video game show called OVGE, the Oklahoma Video Game Expo. And it took place in Tulsa, and the first one was, I believe, in 2000, either 2002 or 2003 it started. And the first time that I went, I was just an attendee. I mean, just a guy off the street, and I went in and saw all these people with video game stuff, and I saw some people with old computer stuff that I kind of clicked with, and it was pretty cool. And in fact, if you know Earl from Phosphor.Fossils, the guy that does the Logbook podcast and some other stuff like that, Earl was there. And just, some other local people and stuff. I'm forgetting who all was there. But it was pretty small. It was a pretty intimate setting. But the next year, they got a bigger room and stuff. And so I started going to this as not a presenter, but, an exhibitor, I guess is the right word. And then we would set up tables, and I would, set up my computer systems. I would take my Commodore and stuff and let people play games. And I did different displays. One year I set up all different kinds of computers and had text adventures on them. I had a text adventure table. One year I had a pirate table where I had set up all these console copiers and explained how those work. So, I just had different themes every year. And one year when the Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder, our NBA team was headed to the playoffs, and I had a Thunder table, and I had 3 or 4 different, like a PlayStation and a Commodore and some other stuff, and I had them all playing different basketball games. Like I had one-on-one set up, and I don't know, just different basketball games, something on the PlayStation, So anyway, it was a really fun expo, and my kids would come up there, and in a couple of years, they were like, well, we want to make and sell something. And I said, okay, well, I rent the tables, so if you want to make something, that's fine with me. And so my wife had done this project before for Girl Scouts, and she suggested that the kids make video game related coasters like this. And so what I did was I went in on the web, and I started collecting sprites from different games, and I would get 4. So all of them were in groups of 4. So I did 4 Donkey Kong sprites. I got Mario and the princess and Donkey Kong and a barrel. So that was a set of 4. I got 4 from Ye Are Kung Fu because I like that game. I got 4 from Dig Dug. I'm trying to think. Oh, and 4 from Minecraft. And then a couple of, some older ones, 4 from Space Invaders and stuff like that. And so then the next thing we did was I got the dimensions and printed them out on a color. And I'm going to look here. I don't remember. I don't think I had a color laser printer. I think these were done on a, I'm sure they were done on a inkjet printer. And so we printed them out and cut them out into the little squares and stuff. Not little pixels, but I mean, this is all one piece, right? And so then they sell this thing called Mod Podge, which you may be familiar with, which is a clear coating that you can paint on over the top of things, and it makes it waterproof, and it makes it all this glossy, smooth finish and stuff. And so the kids, they did it all. They cut the pictures out. They I don't remember if they used a glue stick or something. Maybe they used a little bit of glue or something to hold the picture in place, and then they used the Mod Podge and covered this. And then they I think my wife had bought something, this a strip of these little felt feet that you can see here, and so they're sticky on one side, and it looks like a couple of them are gross on the other side. And then the big investment for each one of these are the ceramic tiles, and I believe if you go to any of the big box stores like Home Depot or Lowe's or anything, I think these tiles cost 8 cents each. But in my head, I'm thinking they're either 2 cents less than a dime or 2 cents more than a dime. So they could be 12 cents, but either 8 cents or 12 cents per tile. And so the kids were buying, so they bought these tiles. So 4 tiles, let's just round it and say with tax it was 50 cents. So they were buying 50 cents worth of tile, and then we'd printed out the pictures, and then whatever the Mod Podge cost, So each set was definitely less than $1, and I can't remember. I think what they were selling them as four coasters for $10. So, anytime you've got a product where it costs you $1 and you're selling it for 10, so you're making $9 profit. It's a pretty good business model. And I had bought a bunch of arcade marquees that I had paid $20 and $30 for, and I sold them mostly for $20. So, which means some I broke even and some I lost money. So that's my idea of a business model. That's usually how I run a business, is at a great loss. But the kids cleaned up, and when they were done, they had a few sets that were left over. They had a couple of the Minecraft sets, I think, didn't sell because, I think most of the people at these shows were retro and classic gamers, and Minecraft was pretty new at the time. So I don't think those sold. And one set of the Ye Are Kung Fu ones didn't sell, and I kept that. I have those out of my game room. And I think the Space Invaders one, if I remember right, I think we just made them for me to keep in the first place. I just liked them. And so I have just basically 3 different ones of Invaders and one that has the ship on it. And they're all different colors. There's a yellow one and a blue one, and I think the ship is green, to kind of look like the arcade game. But so anyway, I usually have, like I said, because I'm rearranging and doing stuff, I usually have a couple of these laying around. But at the moment, this is the only one I see. But I keep these as I stick that back on my desk underneath the microphone right here on my desk. When I come in the morning, when I have coffee, that's where I sit. It is right on that coaster. So, if you wanted some custom coasters to make. I mean, my kids. I mean, this was 10 years ago, and my kids are 15 and 18 now, so they were 5 and 8 years old. I mean, this is not something that takes a lot of effort. You know what I mean? Anybody could do it. If you want to make a custom set of coasters, you probably could paint the tiles if you wanted a different color. But I thought it looked pretty cool. I mean, because you get that cool white border that is around, and of course you have the white on the edge there. That kind of shows up a little weird. I think what the problem is, there's some coffee on there. That's exactly what that is. As he cleans it with spit. If you're ever at my house and you want to put something on here, you go, is that the one he spit on? It's kind of gross. I remember when I first got my, the early days, like the 90s, got a color inkjet printer, and everybody was printing, you're like, oh, I can print in color, and for a long time, for more than a decade, every printer I saw was black and white, and so to be able to inexpensively print things in color at home was a big deal. And so we printed out all these things, and you would print pictures and frame them, and then all of a sudden, after a year or two, they would be all faded, the yellow, I think, would fade, and so everybody would look real purple. There'd be the real blue and real that the magenta color would show up. And there we go. I got most of the coffee off that. But anyway, I think those do look pretty cool with the little white border on there. Again, if you wanted to paint it first or something, I don't think it would be a big deal. But I like the way they look. But anyway. Well, that's dumb. I accidentally stopped the recording. So back to what I was talking about, the, all those early inkjet prints faded, and I don't know if it was the ink at the time, I know that they said that halogen lights, but I didn't have halogen lights at home, but just being exposed to light made the ink fade or whatever. So I don't know, they got all weird and kind of, miscolored and stuff, but the coasters have not done that. I mean, this is a 10-year-old. I'm going to grab this one more time. I keep putting it back to make it difficult to pull it back out without banging around on stuff. But the color has not faded. I mean, the black is still pretty black. And like I said, for a 10-year-old coaster, again, for something that costs you about a dime to make, it certainly doesn't look bad, and the red is still red and the black is still black. So now I have a color laser printer, which you can probably see the very front edge of, and so they would probably look even better if I were to make some today. But they're not bad. I really like them, and so anyway, it's one of those things that as the older I get and life goes on, you could collect a million things. I have things laying all around here. As I look around here, I look like I'm, but that don't serve any purpose. I found this guy. I like Halloween stuff. And so I got this little guy, and he's kind of a bobblehead, but not really. And the spring is so tight that he doesn't really, it moves, but it doesn't really go, boing, like a good bobblehead do. My life at one point was overrun with things like this, and it doesn't serve a function. It doesn't do anything. It just, it's something fun to look at, and you leave it sitting around or something, and I do. I have it sitting over here on my desk because it's Halloween right now, but yeah, you just, you can only have so much of that stuff, and so things like that coaster, the cool thing about it is it's a fun memory. I remember working on it with my kids, and it's video game related. It has a cool retro memory, but it's also functional. Like I said, every morning I come in and I put my coffee right on that coaster. Right before I started this video, there was a cup sitting on that coaster. So, that's the nice thing about it is, like I said, it's fun, but it's also functional. So, I mean, I think that's everything I have to say about a coaster. I warned you at the beginning of this, man. I could talk for a long time about just about anything. I should say, while I'm staring here into this camera, you may have noticed that I think this is the first Rando Rob where I'm not wearing a hat. And the reason I'm not wearing a hat is because I got a haircut this week. I have not had a haircut in about 6 months. And the place where I go get a haircut is a source of many jokes. It is run by an Asian woman that doesn't particularly like, I don't know if it's Americans or overweight Americans, but she really doesn't like me. And over the years, we have really come to have this really fun relationship where we kind of kid each other and we talk. And she was telling me really about some tragic losses in her life recently, and we can talk about anything. And she knows the exact haircut that I get, so it's nice to be able to just walk in. Kind of, it's one of the places where I'm a regular, and. So anyway, they're pretty strict, about that. We have some pretty strict rules in Oklahoma about certain types of businesses right now during COVID. So if you go to any type of place that does haircutting or whatever, you have to wear a mask the whole time. You're not allowed to wait in the lobby. So when you get there, you have to basically call or text, and you get in a virtual line. And when they're ready for you, they text you or call you back, and then you come in from the parking lot and you go in, and they can only have 2 customers at a time. So it's really pretty controlled environment. But I was getting to the point where I was like going to work and having work meetings and having to wear baseball hats and stuff. My hair was pretty out of control, so I got it cut. I get it cut pretty short, and I got it cut even a little bit shorter than normal to try to get me through another 6 months. I don't want to be going, every month or every other month. Or I don't go that frequently. I usually go about 4 times a year, which is longer than a lot of people. But I really kind of stretched it out this time, So I had them cut it pretty close, so I don't have to, go back next month or anything. So anyway, thank you guys for your support, and I will talk to you soon.